two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey of here on Delusions of Grandeur. We had a slight 2-week hiatus due to some festivals and moving forwards here. But I'm going to hand this over to our good friend Crow here because he brought to us very interesting film here that I haven't seen in going on almost 15 years now. Now it's almost that old. So go ahead, Crow. Tell us what film you brought to the table this week.
Well, I chose 2010's Inception, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and a host of others. This was I thought it was it's a really awesome movie, and I thought it was a really great movie to discuss because so much is happening, and it really can get very confusing movie, what's going on. Like, you're like, is it a dream now? Or is it reality? Wait, is it reality and a dream? Then is a dream within a dream, and then dream within a dream within a dream. So it really encapsulates the imagination, and if you look away for a second, you're gonna be like, where was I? It's one of those movies you probably need to watch a couple times to get it, because really a lot happens, and they're really kind of all over, and they keep you guessing whether you're in the reality, or you're in the dream, or you're within the dream within the dream, or the dream within the dream within the dream. And yeah, even though I'd already seen this movie, and it's been a long time, like with Dave, probably 14 years ago or so when it came out. I don't remember exactly when I saw it, but yeah, it definitely felt like watching it all over again for the first time. I remember bits and pieces of it, but yeah, it is an amazing story, and I'm happy to bring it to people today. Dave, do you have the IMDb pulled up?
I can bring it up.
Unfortunately, I did not do that.
I can help you out with that.
Yeah.
Right now, it's got an 8.8 out of 10 on IMDb. I don't know if that helps as far as ratings go.
Well, ratings are what they are. I mean,
yep.
I agree with that rating, but most of the time I don't. So, I'm gonna say, well, I'm gonna hold that to being awesome, because most of the time I don't. So, just because I happen to agree this time.
Well, I did want to mention that it was directed by Christopher Nolan, who directed the Batman trilogy: Batman Begins, Batman: Dark Knight Rises, and those films, and that kind of helps because Mr. Hewitt, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Mr. Levitt, he was Robin in his version of Batman.
Yeah, and the guy that they were targeting was the Scarecrow. Also in the movie, so.
So this is what IMDb says: a thief who steals corporate secrets through the use of dream sharing technology to give the inverse task of planting an idea into the mind of a CEO, but his tragic past may doom the project and his team to disaster. And he who played the Scarecrow, I also think, just recently played Oppenheimer, if I remember correctly. Just not too far recently. So, did you want to bring us into first impressions then, Crow?
Yeah. So, Tammy, what is your first impression of the movie?
Well, I think I watched it when it first came out with David. I don't believe this is my first time, but I don't really remember anything from the first time. because it was so long ago. But yeah, it definitely keeps you guessing, and it's, you know, I don't want to say that it's hard to follow, but in a way it is, because like you said, you're wondering if this is a dream now, or if it's not, or if it's a dream inside of a dream, like you were saying. It's very interesting, and definitely lots of action in it. But it just keeps you guessing like through the whole thing. So
Mm.
but yeah, it was cool.
Awesome. Is that your first impression?
Yep, for now.
Awesome. And what about you, Boris?
Well, I must admit I'm glad that I'm not the only one who has the impression that Tammy has just described. This was my first time watching this movie too, and I had a very similar impression. Like, I'm generally a person who somewhat struggles with movies that are so attention heavy that when you cannot even allow your focus to drift away for a split second, then you are already completely lost to what's going on. This is one of those movies, and yeah, I pretty much got lost exactly in what Tammy described. Which part of the story is taking place in which level of the dream or in the real world. So the story was very difficult to follow. Although I do like the premise of it, and I think I'm sorry. I think it's actually a very interesting coincidence that you picked this movie for this discussion because last Sunday we had a hiatus because I had this book presentation in another town, and my book Alternate Reality, it actually also deals with the dream world. And when I a while ago, when some people were reading my book, they kept saying it reminded them of it reminded them of this movie Inception, and I was planning to watch it but never got to it. And yeah, I somewhat see the similarities with my book, but yeah, my book is not nearly as convoluted and difficult to follow as this. um, but yeah, like I said, I do like the premise of this movie. The whole dream thing is very interesting, but I wish it wasn't so complicated and so difficult to follow.
Well, wouldn't be as good of a movie if it was easy.
Okay, maybe you have a point.
I mean, honestly, you can't do a movie like A Dream Within a Dream Within a Dream and not make it somewhat complicated. It's like doing time travel movies. Sometimes people, you get a little stuck with time travel movies as well. They're definitely, these type of movies aren't for everybody. You really have to pay attention, and it really makes you think a lot. It really does. That's why I like these kind of movies. I mean, sometimes I just want to chill back, relax, and have a few laughs, or watch some great action or whatever. We do those kinds of movies often, but it's nice once in a while to have a real thinker, a real movie that you really have to pay a lot of attention to, and maybe even have to watch more than once to understand what's going on.
Mm.
We there's very few TV shows that are like that too, but there are some. Fortunately, they don't usually last because people just can't give that much attention to each episode, so they don't last. Unfortunately, they're some of the best TV shows out on TV, in my opinion. Yeah,
Mm.
I do like the relax, have some fun, not huge thinking, just fun, comedy or action or whatever. But it's nice to have some heavy thinking
Uh,
material as well.
yeah,
It depends
well,
on how much is going on all at once to me. Like I enjoy a good thinker, just like the next person. But there are some films that there is so much going on, it is really hard to catch on to what is going on. But Christopher Nolan is a great filmmaker. I think he's a good filmmaker. And may I go on with my first impression, Crow?
If Philip is done.
Well, actually, there was just one more thing I wanted to say when you said when you mentioned the difference between movies that require a lot of thinking and movies that you can watch just to relax. Interestingly enough, there are some movies that can offer both things. Like a while ago, we discussed this movie Friend Request, where our discussion got quite intense. That's an example of a
What movie?
that.
Friend
Sorry,
request.
what did?
Oh,
Yes,
what?
yes, that movie is one where you have a basic storyline that's relatively, no, not relatively, pretty much easy to follow, actually. So easy to follow that some people accuse the movie of being too simplistic, of not having characters fleshed out well enough, and so on. But at the same time, there are so many details going on that all those things like what those characters have on their Facebook profiles and so on, things on computer screen that appear in the movie for a split second. And if you actually pause at those moments and look at what's on screen and read all the text, you can learn a lot more about the characters and the story than there appears to be on the surface. And to me personally, that's something very fascinating, and one reason why I really liked that movie. So, yeah, that movie, for example, is one of those where if you don't feel like analyzing, you can still follow the main storyline. But if you want to get more deeper into the matter of things, you can do it by analyzing all those details. And I mentioned to you, Kroll, I wrote an essay about those things in that movie, and I still have to proofread it before sending it to you. I'm really curious what you're going to think about that.
I'll check it out.
Okay, and yes, sorry for rambling. Dave, you can go with your first impressions.
Okay. I didn't see the movie in theaters, but I did pick it up on DVD and watch it with Tammy about when it came out on physical media. And I remembered like at least half of it. I didn't remember the twist up until it was like 3/4 the way into the movie again, which is strange for me because normally I remember movies like that. But this one is just that good of a movie that it kept me alluded to it till, you know. So I'm glad that I was able to get a chance to see this movie again. Levitt is normally a comedian, so this is a straight character. He played a straight character as Robin too, a darker version of Robin. You know, so kudos for him for being able to play straight characters as well. Which, if anyone remembers Third Rock from the Sun, he was an alien kid with an alien family, and he was very much a comedic relief character. So, and I think he's grown up a lot, just like Leonardo DiCaprio. I think this is one of his more finely tuned acting roles. He came from acting as from a child actor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on. Oh, now I can't think of the name of the show.
He was on,
Growing
I
Pains.
think.
Growing.
He
He was on
he
Growing
was,
Pains as the youngest child.
I think so, but
No,
he
I'm
also
telling you, he was on Growing Pains as the youngest child.
well, he was also on, I think, the third Leprechaun movie, the horror movie. So, that was the first role that I remembered seeing him in. I don't remember Growing Pains as much, but I did watch it growing up.
I
So,
love that show. It's one of my favorites. So
Cameron came from that, didn't he?
yes,
Kirk
he was the main
Cameron.
character.
That's what I thought. But yeah.
I don't
But
remember Kirk Cameron.
huh?
I don't remember Leonardo, but I do remember Kirk Cameron.
Well, Leonardo was in the later seasons, and he was the youngest child.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to eventually pick up that series because it was a good comedic television series. But I guess we lost Boris. Oh, there he is. Oh. Lost you for a minute.
Sorry
Boris.
for disappearing.
Not a problem. But yeah, I enjoyed this time around viewing. And I think this is when Leonardo DiCaprio, like I said, was growing into his own. I feel like this is like showing us his acting chops. I mean, I know he was in Titanic, and I know he was kind of a chick magnet for a while, because of Basketball Diaries and other films that he was in, and whatnot. But
But he
this
isn't just a pretty face.
no, in fact, I think in here and in Shutter Island, those
I
two
think the
kind of
one
like.
I can't think of the name of the movie where he played twins. One was evil, and one was good, and he you know what I'm talking about. It's a classic story. Oh damn it! The movie.
I think you're thinking about a different one.
No, I am not.
Who?
Stop doing that, Dave.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing, only I'm not saying it out loud.
Well, I know I just recently saw him in Killers of the Flower Moon. He was in a version of Romeo and Juliet. He was in The Reverend, which he was made.
We will never talk about that version of Romeo and Juliet again on this podcast or anywhere else again. That
he
was
was in
atrocious.
The Great Gatsby. He was in Catch Me If You Can.
Yes,
I
don't.
I don't know anybody that actually likes that version, so you're not alone, Crow.
I took a date there to see it. So how bad do you feel for me?
I guess he was in What's Eating Gilbert Grape back in the day. He was in a film called The Departed, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was
One of my favorites was The Man in the Iron Mask.
That's the movie.
Blood Diamond.
That's the movie. Man in the Iron Mask.
Okay, that one. Okay.
Yep.
Yes, that is a good version. I forgot he was in there. It's been a while since I've seen some of these movies. Okay,
Me too.
but
Boy, you always like
That's
to
one of my favorite versions.
when you were saying something about Two Evil Sons, I kept thinking about the Good Son.
I said
with
twins.
Macaulay Culkin.
Okay.
So, but in any case,
Yeah, I don't really confuse actors like that. You know, maybe once a great blue moon I might, but yeah, I'm very good with actors. Now, directors is another thing.
sometimes I can remember directors, but mostly I can
Sometimes you
remember.
mostly remember directors. You remember way more than I do.
If I'm watching a movie, I'll most of the time while I'm watching, and Tammy will, Tammy gets bugged when I do this. I'll name off like 7 things the dude or chick was in or whatnot if I know the actor.
I can understand that would annoy you, Tammy.
Yeah, it gets very annoying. It's like, well, can we just watch the one that they're in now?
Right. Kind of like when we're on a podcast and we're trying to discuss a movie, and then we start talking about all the other movies that they do. But anyways,
we're watching
I
Murder
hate that
She
with-
Wrote and just yesterday, and she actually did it to me, where she was like, do you know who that is? I'm like, no. And it ended up being the dude who plays like the second actor in Dukes of Hazzard, the series.
Tom
So,
Wopat,
I
Yeah, it
didn't
was
recognize him.
that.
the second guy. So you mean the first guy is John Schneider, and the second guy is Tom Wopat, right?
Yeah, Tom Wopat. I didn't know that name, so
It's okay. We'll forgive you this time, Dan. He was
well,
also
I
in Small.
didn't
He
entirely
also
grow
played
up with
I
it
guess
generally.
he also
I
played a
caught
guest role in Smallville.
bits and pieces of it.
He also
It
played
was
a guest
kind
role
of
in
fun to do
Smallville.
it to him. So it was kind
She
of fun to
she was just glad to do it to me. Yeah.
I don't blame you. And speaking of Angela Lansbury, you know the movie she was in? It was called Bedknobs and Broomsticks. An awesome movie. She was also in The Corchester, which we covered.
Yeah, we're doing that this next week on the regular channel. Bed
Doing
Knobs and
what?
Broomsticks. Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
Oh, are you?
Yep.
This
Tammy's
month,
choice.
I might join for it.
that would be tomorrow.
That'll be tomorrow.
That'll be tomorrow.
Yep. Tomorrow night.
Are you gonna say it to Boris?
No, he's
Sorry, you can't say what?
I said, are you gonna say it too? Well, Dave said that'll be tomorrow, and Tammy said that'll be tomorrow. So I figured I'd just say that'll be tomorrow and ask if you want.
Yeah, but I'm not
I
participating
didn't say you were
in.
participating. I asked if you were gonna say it.
Yeah, that will be tomorrow.
Okay, good. We have it covered now.
so. But anyways, I'm pretty much done with my first impressions. It was enjoyable to watch. It's got a great twist. It's got a good cast, and I of course when I look at something like that video that I sent you guys to kind of sort of watch if you wanted to, then I start to wonder a little bit, but then yeah, that's a different story. So. But yeah, bring us into the plot, Kroll.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure it starts within a dream.
Actually,
And
your thoughts. What were your first impressions?
Oh, I guess I forgot to do that, didn't I?
Yeah.
I loved it. Obviously, I chose it. I don't pick movies that I don't like to watch again, unlike some people. I watch movies to be entertained or one way or another. I mean, sometimes I'll pick a movie that I haven't watched and it turns out that it wasn't, but I'm usually pretty good at that. So, yeah, I don't think disappointed. Yeah, it was a little confusing to watch, even though I'd already seen it because so much happens, and my focus isn't 100% because I spent so long being a multitasker. It just it's harder to focus now after the stroke. So, but hey, I still got through it and watched it. I probably need a little help going through this movie because so much happened that, yeah, it's definitely someone that I'm going to need help with. But like I said, I loved it. I don't remember exactly when I saw it, but when it came out, I did not see the movie theaters, most likely. I didn't watch a lot of movies in the movie theaters, usually just superhero type movies, action movies, or something like that. Those are the type of movies that I really feel like they need to be on the big screen. Anything else, it doesn't have to be. Um, so, and this was a lot of action packed, but it was a real big thinker too. So, although in the movies it is easier to focus because you're pretty much in a dark area and you got nothing else to do, so watch the movie. So it's a little bit easier to pay attention. Um, but anyways, so that's my first impression of the movie. So let's go into the plot. And I think, like I said, right off the bat, they start you into a dream, and you don't realize it at first. But they're talking to this guy about being hired to teach him how to defend himself even when he's sleeping against people coming into his dream and trying to steal secrets and everything. And you know he leaves and they're like he knows, and it's like, and then that's when you realize, oh wait, it's already a dream. Of course, if you hadn't already seen it the first time, the first time you watch it, you're like, he knows what, like what's he talking about. You don't even know what they're talking about because you don't know the plot yet unless cheated and looked on IMDb or Wiki or something ahead of time. If you just went in to watch the movie and didn't know what it was about or anything, you'd be a little bit confused, like, what does he know? Like, because he may know but the audience doesn't. um and I think that's a great first scene. What do you guys think of that first scene?
Well, it kind of shows you what sort of Leonardo DiCaprio's character, um, what type of job he actually does, and unfortunately, everything goes wrong, like all in a matter of like minutes, and you don't know why at first. All you know is he was looking for something. He sort of was alluded to it. He found a safe. He switched some papers, and boom, boom, boom. Things were happening fast. And as the scene progresses, no matter what, they were found out. There were things that were that eluded the Asian guy, or trying to think what his name was, because I know the actor's name was Chow Yun Fat. And you'll know Chow Yun Fat from a lot of Japanese movies. I think he was in. Let's see. I know he was in Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. I know he was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And films of that. I remember him being in a movie that I liked, which was Bulletproof Monk. So he's been in quite a few movies, and this is one that he played the older Asian guy in here, as well as the guy that appears to eventually like hire him to do a job. Um, so I don't want to tell too much into the story, but I thought this was a very good beginning scene to kind of show that initial image of his wife, of Cobb's wife, so to speak. that seems to fuck things up as things go along, because he kind of tells her like he can't trust her and all that jazz. And when he's trying to like climb down to that room that he's supposed to steal something from, he ties it to the chair and tells her to wait a moment. And she just like disappears and lets him fall a little bit. I thought that was a little bit funny. But yeah, it was a good scene to show you a few of the players.
Well, of course, as we find out later that really was just a memory, because his wife had passed away, and it wasn't just a dream; it was actually a memory, which he said himself that he should never, which is what he did, and which is why he's not an architect anymore, and he had to hire someone. So that's basically where I think the next scene is when he gets offered the job a job by the Chinese dude that you were talking about, and he gets offered the job, and he's just like, he's like, I could do it, but I have to guarantee it. And he's like, he's just basically telling him, you got to take action, and sometimes you got to take a chance on things, and there's never any guarantees. But do you want to do it and be happy, or do you want to be an old man living with regret? And I love this because it's the exact same thing I use when I'm marketing and advertising what I do, because it's the same thing. Will you make money? Well, that depends on you, and depends on a lot of things. If you don't quit, yes, eventually you will.
I was wrong. That was not Chow Yun Fat. That's Ken Watanabe. But
And
he's played by Saito. He's
okay,
playing Saito.
I interrupt right in the middle of me. I'm
Sorry.
happy. Okay. As I was saying, so it resonates with me because of what I do, and so I really like that. And of course, he ends up doing the job. The first thing he realizes is that he needs a good architect because he doesn't do that anymore. So he goes to, I believe, his father, um, and he, his father's like, doesn't want to get somebody at first, and then he's like, I just need somebody to create it, and I need someone, as good as me. And then his father finally was like, okay, well, I know somebody better than you. And of course, he goes to test her, and he tells her to make a maze, and she draws a maze, and he looks at it, flips right through, and goes, do better. And she does another one, and he's like, you got to do better. She does another one, he's just basically, again, you got to do better. Finally, she's like, okay. And then she does like a circle maze, and he looks at it, and he's like, he starts to go, and he's like, now that's much better. Obviously, he kind of got stuck with it. He he probably could have gotten through it, but the point was he wanted to be able to go through, look at it, and not be able to go through it in 30 seconds like he did all the other mazes, that she had drawn, and she only had like 30 seconds to make the maze. So it really was a big test of thought and everything, and how fast she could think of something, and then how fast he could get through it himself. And she ends up proving that she's worthy. So oh yeah, before that she asked what the job was, and he's like, well, I can't exactly tell you, I need to qualify you first. And she's like, why? Well, he's like, it's not exactly legal. She didn't run away at that point, so she decided that she wanted to see what this was about, legal or not. And,
Well, he also takes her in and shows her like a built world that he
right, and
built.
that of course is the next scene. That's the next scene. And of course, it freaks her. His ex-wife comes in, or not ex-wife, but his past wife comes in and attacks her, and and she gets pulled out, and she's completely freaked out. She's like, I don't want to do this. I'm opening my mind to too much, and she leaves, and Leonardo DiCaprio's character is just like, she'll be back. she'll be back. She'll, she'll never just find anything like this ever again, and of course, like the next day, I mean, like, I forget there was another scene, and I'm thinking, like, as soon as the scene started switching, I'm like, okay, here's the scene where she comes back, and maybe that was from memory, or maybe that was just from me figuring it out this time. I'm not sure which is which, but yeah, the next scene was her coming back, and and, Levitt's character was just like, he said you'd be back, and she's like, I tried to stay away, I tried, but, it's just exactly. It's just so. I can see how intriguing it could be for someone that.
And that's when Levitt tells her about totems.
Yes,
If I
exactly.
remember
You see,
correctly.
and you see Leonardo DiCaprio using his like topper totem, and Levitt shows her a die. She goes to grab it, and he goes, "No, you can't touch it. You just have to see it, and you can like move it around and stuff." And he knows if you don't see your totem, then you're not in your dream. You're in somebody else's dream. I like how he explained it to her, and then I think the next thing, or was this before? I don't know. When they're in like a outdoor cafe, and they're talking, and then all of a sudden, he's like, "You're dreaming now." And the second he tells her she's dreaming, and she realizes she's dreaming, the dream world starts to break apart, and everything starts blowing up around her. Because like he's like, "You're dreaming." He's like, "How do you know you're dreaming?" He's like, "Do you remember getting here? How did we get here?" And she's like, trying to think about it. She can't remember how she got there. It's like, it's like dreams. How does a dream start? Do you ever remember how a dream starts, or are you just in the middle of the dream? And it's true. If you remember your dreams, I don't think anyone has ever remembered how the dream starts, because it's a dream, and you don't know you're dreaming until you wake up and you're like, "Whoa, I was dreaming." Like even the
Which
weirdest dreams.
this part kind of reminds me of like the movie The Matrix when he's being trained about what the Matrix is. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Well,
Interesting.
so he explains that to her, and that's when she kind of realized, "Oh crap, I am dreaming," and it kind of breaks apart. So let's go over these scenes and tell us what you think about these scenes. Boris, what do you think about these scenes that we were discussing?
Well, I found this part interesting where she was learning how to build a dream, and there were all those effects of things appearing around them and looking all impossible. uh, that was interesting, but yeah, at the beginning and well later on too, but at the beginning especially, I really struggled to figure out what was going on. I generally kind of have an issue with things that when you first see them are not supposed to make sense and are supposed to make sense only later when they get explained. Because if it's not making sense at the time when I'm watching it, then chances are I won't remember it by the time it's explained. Uh, I struggle to memorize things if they don't make enough sense at the time when I'm watching them.
Well,
Uh,
I don't memorize them. It's just once they get explained, I'm like, "Oh, that's what they're talking about beforehand." So it reminds me of what I had struggled with trying to figure out. So
yeah, makes sense.
even dollars sometimes. Hey, what are your thoughts on the scene so far?
uh, who are you asking?
The person that said, Tammy.
Oh, I thought it was neat. I mean, when she realizes that she's in the dream, and like uh Filippo says, "Sprow." It's like everything's
Oh,
just
yeah.
exploding and everywhere, and then like when the it's like the city folds in on the city like that. It was like really really weird. And then they're like walking, and they're like actually walking sideways or up, or it's just it was just trippy.
Yeah, it was trippy. And Dave, what do you think about the scenes?
I like this training piece of scenery because you're not quite sure how the dream state works in this world until they basically explain it here, and then ultimately when they do almost like they like do their homework, when they're about to, you know, do a whole dream mission, so where they learn all they can about the people that they're going to go and uh, it, the thing is the moment of picking a specific idea or word in someone's mind is frightening, because that could change the outcome and the future of anyone that you go in their minds and just plant it there, So it is a frightening thought that people can do this, if they wanted to, and they're using this machine that looks like something like a variation of a pumping heart, So,
Oh yeah.
So, I thought it was a good setup for what was to come. So,
All right, and yeah, I think possibly the next scene or around it is when he warns the person that's hiring him that it's going to change. It could, like you just said, change how they think and basically change everything. Um, it's that's what they do, and it's actually something that everyone can do with themselves is retrain their brain on how they rethink. I've been doing.
well, and when he
Oh,
had her in his built-up dream world thing, she was starting to change things that were going around. She was uh, building actual bridges, and he basically told her, "Don't, don't build anything on anything that you remember."
don't build on memories, build
Yeah,
on dreams. It's like you can have like a telephone post or a lamp or something small, but don't make it big.
because big things like that would change the structure of the mind. You know, the structure you're in.
Yeah.
And even though it might be your memory, it will be his memory.
It's
That's
it's it's basically what he had done. He had done
Mhm.
that with his wife, and that's why he's not an architect anymore, because he had done that. He basically took the memory and he kept taking that memory because the
Mhm.
way he could see his wife again.
Yep.
Hmm.
Kind of a little bit of a romantic twist in this movie as well. It's not the main focus, but it's definitely there, and it's a good part of it. So, tell us, Dave. You remember what's next scene after that? Because I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. Well, the next scene after that, well, already we know Saito has um, uh, commissioned them to go after his business conglomerate son, to change his mind to so that he can have power over that whatever business he's in. Um, kind of kind of so that the power like shifts to him, and they focus and center on the business conglomerate's son, the one that's supposed to eventually, like, I guess by last will and testament, become the company's head. And
well, I think he's already pretty much the head because we see later that his dad is on life support and it is basically at the end of his life.
yeah, but I was trying to understand whether that was memory or a planted memory.
Yeah, I'm not really 100% sure either. I think that was real, but again,
Yeah, I think so too. Uh, his father dying, I think, was real. No, I
Well,
think.
and I guess we find out that the relationship was always kind of constrained between father and son, and so even as an adult, he wasn't sure how much his father approved of him. So they basically have to find a way to get to him and tell him the secrets of this empire, so that they can plant an idea in his brain, so that it will change the way and the outcome, and possibly the future of that company, so that they could the other guy, Saito, could swoop in and take over um, the whatever it is he wants to do, because we're not sure exactly what it is he does. We know he's interested in Inception and how it works and whether it's possible, so
Uh, yeah, and interestingly enough, we also don't find out uh, whether Saito is a good or a bad guy in all this. Like this company they are trying to destroy, is that company good or bad? Do they really deserve to be destroyed or not?
that is a question that's
that is good question, but it actually is basically irrelevant to the story because we never said if they're good or bad. They just said they're kind of legal, and you find out what happens, and you want to root for Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and so you assume that he's doing good, but we don't actually know if he is or not. And like I said, it's not really relevant to this particular story.
we don't know at the point in time that he's putting this together that he has done what science what we as people are afraid that science will do, because the one thing that people are afraid that science will do is that they will go to that extra extreme, find out that whatever it is that they're doing is possible, but is there a way to come back from that once we know the truth? That type of idea is what is presented here. I think the idea that could we as like Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park says, we were so busy trying to figure out whether we could and not figuring out whether we should.
Yeah.
I'm not following you on that one.
You unfortunately, science is a conundrum. There are many things that we want to accomplish and discover. There is a point of no return. Like, what if we suddenly make a robot that will destroy the world? Or what if we end up creating an actual Frankenstein that will go out and create mayhem and kill people? Things that people shoot for. It's been, filmed all these different things like giant tarantulas. Scientists try to push the boundaries, and there is, to me, a point of no return. Should we discover these things?
Absolutely.
I don't believe that we should discover something that could end up being our downfall.
Well, how do you know it's your downfall if you're not constantly learning and figuring out new things? If you're not learning, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, then you're dying. I don't know for you, but I want to live and not die.
You don't learn if you're dead.
You don't do anything if you're dead. So you need to keep learning and growing.
What I'm saying is, if you create and discover something that kills off all humanity, including yourself, was it worth it?
Well, I guess you won't know because everyone's gone.
And I don't want it to have come to that, where one of these scientific experiments decides to wipe me out.
Well, the problem is the scientists never, ever create something or find something to do that. It's governments and other things that take people's discoveries and turn them into mass destruction, like the atom bomb and other things like that. The people that found that wasn't trying to find a bomb, but that's just
that's just like cloning. There's a lot of controversy over that. Yes, it could be good for medical reasons, but yet, should we really have gone there and been able to clone?
My thought is, once the clone is created, is it that then for not an entity upon themselves and should have the rights of everyone else? So therefore, if you're making a clone for the pure reason to basically take body parts to put into human, you're basically taking it from another human from one human to another, because once that clone is made, it's a sentient being, and therefore it should have its own rights. I actually just discussed this about a month ago in one of my classes.
Well, if the cloning technology progressed that much, wouldn't it be possible to clone individual organs without necessarily making a whole human being?
I don't think we've gotten to that.
Well, we're definitely not at that point yet. I mean, we're just at the point of cloning things. But, yeah.
Oh, I see.
It would be awesome if they would be able to do that. But I mean, in Bicentennial Man, they suggested that robotic technology with organ with the things we know about anatomy could possibly.
Yeah, but David, would it really be awesome? I mean, yeah, the cloning of certain body parts is cool and it's helpful, but would it really be awesome to clone another whole human being? Then you're acting like God, okay? And nobody should act like God.
We're talking about science, not religion, so let's keep religion out of it.
Good.
I don't think it's right to clone a whole human being. I really don't.
I don't either, but that is neither here nor now.
I don't think
my whole thing of bringing up some of these things is that sometimes I believe science grasps beyond what it should, and maybe that's an opinion. I know it's not fact,
opinion,
but I think we could eventually become our own monsters. The way we are doing with science. If scientists are going the way of possibly killing off my race of never be the human race off with whatever they're doing, I don't want them to do it. and that is my thing. I applaud people for trying to cure cancer and all that jazz. I get it. If you have to create another life to try to figure that out, I think there are laws that need to be placed in order to do that.
We completely differ on that one. I don't have any problem with them cloning people. I just have a problem with why they're cloning people. If they're cloning them just to take their body parts away, then that becomes a moral issue.
Yep, I agree.
Ooh, yeah.
But in any case, let's get back to the film. My whole reason of bringing that up is because there are different ideas for different things, and some areas of science, I think there are boundaries that I think science or scientists should never cross. I don't know if some of you agree. I know I think that there are lines that they should never cross. If it involves ruining my life or any of my any people that I know, if they are in danger of losing their lives because of it, that is where I
Ooh.
come from.
What, you don't want life to be risky?
I don't want there to be nothing. I don't
Hate
want
to
there.
tell you, dude, but life is risky.
I don't care. I don't want to be risked.
It,
It's my life.
then
It's my
what
choice.
choice do you have? You don't have a choice. Life is risky, plain and simple. Whether it's from scientists or it's from you walking outside and a car hits you, life is risky.
I get it, but I'm not going to choose death.
Who says you're choosing death?
I'm choosing death if I allow a scientist to do
No,
do
you're
it.
not. You can't allow or not allow them. You have no control over them. Even if it's illegal, you still don't have any control over what people do or don't do. People will
No,
still do what they were going to do.
unfortunately, that is the case. But that is neither here nor now.
We wouldn't have all the wonderful things we have today if people listen to you and just didn't do all they're doing
I'm not
anything.
saying don't discover things, just don't involve my life in the process. Or death.
Again, they don't. It's not like they purposely did. If they did do that, it's just it happens. It happens with discovery. It's not done purposely, but it's still done, and nothing you can do about it.
Regardless, let us move back to the movie discussion. So where are we?
True.
We are. They're doing their history, figuring out how to get at him, and I think they figure out a way first through, I guess, the family lawyer, who seems to be the closest. But they also go and pick the people very carefully to be
Yeah,
their.
they go see that guy that knows how to knock people out, given a sedative, and they're talking about. He's like, you're talking about a dream within a dream. He's like, no. He's talking about 2 levels. He's talking about 3 levels. He's like, impossible. He's like, it's not impossible.
Well, yeah, because
And he's like,
they gotta be put out, knocked out for about 10 hours to be on that plane, and it can't just be any plane. It has to be a 747. You know. So the first thing they do is they set up the plane, and then they have another dream in the set up in a van. Well, no, not in a van, in a hotel room. Another's in a van, and then of course,
and then a hotel.
yeah. So there are several. It's like they use each person's dreams or dream capacity each time, and they set up what they call is a kick. In fact, they set up several kicks. Believe there's 2 kicks that they end up setting up for the end game process. You know, when it comes to waking their asses up. I think the first kick is um, when the van hits the water. If or no,
That's the end of the movie.
yeah, that's the end of the movie. No, the first kick is when he explodes the elevator.
Well,
Uh,
you're skipping kind of ahead. I mean, there's one point which he was doing a dream and it was going away and they were trying to wake him up and they couldn't wake him up and they finally tipped his chair over and they ended up dropping him into a cold bathtub. I guess that's their emergency protocol to wake somebody up because
yeah,
um, just like with the movie we saw last week, Gone Girl. Not Gone Girl. What was it? The whatever the hell it's called. Um, when we saw that movie, with Winona Ryder, when she got dumped in the water, she immediately like was awake, in
yeah,
bed, right, and pissed off, but she was awake, Um,
yeah.
so yeah, we see that, whenever, I mean, someone could splash water in your face, that'll probably wake you up, but dumping your entire body into what I assume is cold water, even lukewarm water would do it, but probably with cold water, it's gonna snap you awake, no matter how deep in you are, no matter what it is. So, yeah, that was in there as well. And yeah, like I said, this movie is a bit confusing about what happened in what sequence. So apologize that we're not going in kind of exact order, but it's just if you
It's
haven't seen the movie,
all over
watch it and you'll
the
understand.
place. It's a movie that goes all over the place at random too. Like it goes forward and then it goes back and then it shows you what's happening as they go. Because supposedly all the while they're falling backwards in that van and being chased by shooters, which we figure out these shooters are actually shooting at them because of um Cobb's
They're the
uh
security. They're basically the security system for his mind. So he hired somebody like Cobb to teach him how to protect himself even when he was sleeping. So that's what he has. So Cobb has to figure out a way. He has to get to him and basically have him turn himself against his own mind. By showing him that oh, these are out to get you. They're not your security. I'm your security guy. I'm here to help you, and you need to listen to me. And it works. He comes to them. He shows up. Charming and shows them the know, like, and trust. And he follows him. He manipulates him into
I
doing
also think
what
the
he wants.
memory of his wife
That's
is
best.
also interfering. I also think the memory of his wife is interfering throughout the journey through the dreams as well,
It
because
is.
um, she is tired of being locked up wherever she was. The memory of her. He made a promise to her that they would die when by the time they were old. The only thing is, she doesn't realize that he's already done that. He did that for 50 years. They grew old together in that memory that they both built. And spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen. The
I think
whole
they did.
twist, the whole twist is the fact that the way that Cobb knows that Inception is real is he did it to his own wife. What did you think about that twist, Kroll?
That was part of the whole movie. That I don't think that was a twist. That was very evident right from the beginning to me. So, I don't know why you call it a twist. It wasn't a twist to me, but yeah,
It
I thought.
it was a twist to me. I did not know it from the beginning. Did you, Tammy, know that from the beginning?
Maybe not from the beginning, but I started seeing things about it.
What about you, Kroll? Boris.
Well, it was like an extra revelation, but not really that surprising because we already knew that they were messing with the whole dream thing and that he was blaming himself for her death for some
No,
reason.
no, he
So,
was being blamed by other people for her death. So
but he also felt guilty.
He did.
yes, he did. I didn't know why up until it was explained to me. The first time and the second time, I didn't. I
So
I, I, under, I understood that he had built this memory of her. What I didn't realize is the whole reason why he had is because he felt guilty for planting the idea in her mind, and that is something that I didn't know up until it was revealed to me. So I'm sorry if I wasn't aware of him actually planting something in her brain right from the get-go. That wasn't exactly shown to me in the beginning or during. So when it was revealed to me, then I was like, "Oh, okay, now I got it." And then I had to remember it again the second time. So that was a little different. But I'm gonna leave this over to you, Kroll, to bring us home.
Where were we? Keep getting me
Uh,
sidetracked.
let's start about where they start. They go into his dream, the dude's dream, and bring the lawyer guy in.
Oh yeah, they're on the plane, and they cleverly they take his passport and they give it back to him and showing him that he's a good guy, and then he hands him his drink, and of course they slip the sedative into the drink, and he passes out, and I guess the stewardess is part of the team or whatever. I guess it's like a private flight or something. I don't know exactly how they did it, but they basically hook up to him into his dream, and then they go into it, and they steal a cab in the dream, and they're in a car, and they pick each other up, and then there's the people that are in the cab, and they're driving, and they stop, and he's like, taxi, and he gets in, and then someone else gets in. He's like, what are you doing? This is my taxi. And then a gun gets pointed at him, and um, they basically like kidnap him, and then they chain him up, and they're like asking him questions about the numbers and what are the
There's
numbers.
also a train that ends up like.
Yeah, I was getting to that, and so they're asking for her numbers for the safe. He goes, I don't know about any safe. He goes, but you do know the numbers. We have it on good authority. Blah blah blah. And then they end up bringing in the lawyer, and they chain him up next to him, and he's talking to him and basically trying to convince him to give the numbers so they don't get killed. And he's led to believe that his lawyer friend has been tortured and everything. Yes, and of course during the cab driver scene, before this, when they're capturing him, the defenses are up, and they're trying to stop them from taking him, and so they're shooting at the cab, and the cab's smashing through other vehicles, and they're like trapping him in, and they're still awesome driving there. He's like just getting through it and everything, and of course he goes to pick her up, the architect up, and right when he does, a train like smashes into them, and then smashes into other cars, and they're like, what the hell? And of course we have a scene right after that where they're all talking like, you were supposed to, says, to Levitt's character, you were supposed to know what's going on about this. You were supposed to do the research and find out that this guy has all these defenses, and he's like, oh, we've dealt with this before, we can, and then they're all like, Oh, of course, I forgot. Yeah, the employer ends up getting shot. He's not killed yet, but he's hurt and in bad shape. Now, normally in a dream, if you're killed in a dream, you just wake up. But because they're in a dream, in a dream, in a dream, they're so far deep that instead of waking up, you could possibly and just stay asleep inevitably. You know, basically like you're dead, but you're alive and you're trapped in limbo. And basically, we find out that Cobb. Now, this I think was a spoiler. Was actually stuck in limbo for a little while and was trapped there and got out somehow. And like we'd already heard earlier, like the quantum realm in Ant-Man 3, like we heard, is that times are different in dreams, and that you're really gone for 5 minutes dreaming, but in the dream you could be hours or days or weeks or whatever. It could be a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
think
times.
a minute is like an hour's worth in this dream world.
Which is
Left.
how he ended up spending an entire lifetime with his wife in his memories, without actually really growing older, but because of the time differences, the times work different in this. But anyway, so that's when they find out that they're all kind of trapped there, and if they die, they're going to be stuck, and they'll like realize that Cobb knew, and they're like, you knew and didn't tell us, so they got mad at him for that. And then they said to the other guy, the one who gave the sedative, like, and you knew too. Like, well, I trusted him. So just kind of finding out like things got kept from each other and secrets got kept. There was another scene which I don't remember where the hell this happened, where they were doing a dream thing and the guy fell on the floor and he realized he wasn't on
Yeah, that was in the
wasn't
beginning scene.
it wasn't his rug. He was actually on a floor. He was on satin, which means he wasn't actually in his dream in his house. And so basically because of that one tiny little detail that was missed, he realized that he wasn't. He was in a dream, and then of course Cobb tries to fix it and saying, "Oh, you're not in my dream. You're in this guy's dream." And then of course when people show up and all. But yeah, so one little tiny error can completely mess up everything they did, everything the architect has done.
Yeah. The other thing, the second architect, the female, she ended up realizing that Cobb's character was actually working with that opium dude to try to fix his whole memory issue with his the fact that he keeps seeing his wife and all that jazz. So it's kind of like he's helping him go through it psychologically, and she ends up while he's asleep in a moment uh, connecting with his dream and faking him out by going to like the basement of this elevator that's in his mind, and she runs smack dab into his memory of his wife, and she's like all pissed at her. And I think she realizes that she is a problem, and I believe it is the wife that sent the train.
No, the train was the defenses of the guy.
I thought that it was the defenses of the wife because of
No,
her mentioning the train and all that jazz in his memories to him. Because to me, the wife was also attacking, um, as well as the defense against the mind of the dude.
no, it was the dude's defenses because he yells at Levitt's character about the train and everything. And if it was his ex, then it would have been completely on him, and he would have known that.
Um, I still think it might have been the wife, but
He would have known that every time his wife has attacked, he knows it's her. He said it. He said it right to Levitt's character, like, you should have known about these defenses. He's like, we were attacked by a damn train. It says it right in the movie.
regardless, moving forward, that's why it was so hard to understand at certain pieces. moving onwards.
Wait for a second. So you can't look away for a second. You miss things.
Well,
pretty much.
I still feel like the wife was doing stuff because
explained to you that he even explained in the movie that it wasn't like I mean, okay, you can have your opinion, but I just explained to you exactly what it was and why it was. So I don't know why you keep going back to it.
Well, the wife was a projection from his mind. It
and
wasn't.
according to that architect of his, that woman, she was all worried about the wife fighting back, and that he was in fact part of the problem, and that he didn't even
Yes,
tell
I agree, but the train
anyone.
has nothing to do with his wife, his ex-wife, or I mean his wife, whatever.
Because she tried attacking her.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought the train was the
No,
wife trying to butt in.
no, but it wasn't.
But wouldn't it be freaky if it was the wife?
But it wasn't because the train also attacked both of them, not just the girl. And the wife obviously wasn't going to attack her husband.
Yeah, well, one thing I'm going to say is when they started to talk about waiting for a train which is supposed to take you somewhere, but you are not sure if it will take you where you want, I must admit I kind of predicted it would be about suicide by train rather than a train ride.
Well, it wasn't a suicide by train. She just fell off a different balcony and to her death.
Yeah, but wasn't there this one part or in a dream sequence or something where a train hit them both?
That's what we've been discussing. And
Yep.
it has nothing to do with the wife. It has to do with the defenses of the guy they were invading.
Debatable.
It's not debatable. It's said right in the friggin' movie. God.
Crow, Dave is making you religious.
It did say it in the movie. I remember him saying
Thank you.
that it
Only
was his,
someone pays attention.
that it was his defense, and DiCaprio's character said, "You guys were supposed to know this. You were supposed to find all this out. You were supposed to know if he had this."
Exactly.
Okay. Well,
He was
anyway.
very upset with everybody because he figured he said that they didn't do their homework. They didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Maybe it reminded him of his of things that his wife said, though. Just because they did show that she said something about a train, you know. But anyways, let's move forward. We are, I believe, at the part where they you already talked a little bit about how they brought the lawyer in. How is it that they get to a hotel and into a van while they're sleeping?
Yeah, they're in a van. They're attacked. They're going to the van, and then of course they're in another dream where they're in a hotel where he's actually talking to the dude, trying to convince him that he's the head of the security for him, and that he's just an idea planted there to help him. And he ends up getting him to go with them. And then at one point, he's shooting other people. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, I'm protecting you. And then he goes and to hand him a gun. And of course he goes to put the gun to his head. He's like, "If I kill myself, I'll just wake up." And that's why he's like, "No. You're into dip. I'm guessing you were given a sedative. And if in that case,
Suddenly I'm into deep.
to give him the gun back, so he doesn't shoot himself." So yeah, and then of course we have some fight scenes there, and lots of scenes where when the van starts going over the bridge, like falling towards the water. We have a lot of scenes where they're like the hotel rooms are upside down and sideways, and they're like running on the walls and they're running on the ceiling and stuff, and fighting each other and stuff, which is pretty trippy and fun. And
Yeah, and then it goes to like some Arctic area.
yeah,
With,
exactly. Then they're in an Arctic area, which I'm not sure exactly about that. That was a little bit confusing. And they're all like on skis, and then they're talking about what they got to do. And he basically tells him, "Hey, you gotta go into." He basically convinces the guy that it's his lawyer friend that's doing this to him, and he's not really his friend, and he's the one that he's got to convince, even though he's actually fighting against his own self. But he, he's tricked to believe in that. And he's like, "You got to go by yourself." And that's when they, came up with this plan of doing this, all the things they do. And then they're attacking this complex, which I guess is the defenses of this guy, I'm assuming. And of course,
at
they
least
cases
maybe
with
in his mind what his father's business appears to be.
it's the other, and then they have chase scenes where they're being chased by other skiers and chased by snowmobiles, machine guns, and they're shooting at them, and they're shooting back. So there's a lot of fighting action scenes, but they're within dreams and within dreams within dreams, and it's just there's a whole lot of shooting going on in all kinds of different aspects. And it's this van is falling towards the water while they're fighting in a hotel, and while they're fighting in the Arctic area. I think that like I said, there's three extreme levels. I think the Arctic area is like the third level, and that's the area where the security is. And they're having, instead of they're trying to destroy the securities, but they're having him help destroy his own securities by telling him that they're not his securities, that they're out to get him, and that he's really the security head of security and the helper, which is pretty cool, pretty amazing the way they do it. And again, we don't really know if the guy who they're targeting is a good guy or not. We never really find out. Like
No, and he gets shot himself while he's up there in that fortress too. And
who gets
Fisher, the guy that they
okay.
had to go up there to begin with to get whatever secret that they need to gather from him so that they can plant whatever in his mind. He gets shot, and Cobb, DiCaprio's character, says it's too late. We have to leave him here, and he ends up going and finding his wife. And half of his team is like, well, we can't leave him behind. So I think what they do is they choose to revive him and then throw him off the building so that he can wake up. But all the while Cobb goes evidently to that room that his wife is in, and she tries to convince him to stay with her, and still tries to convince him that her reality is the right reality, and vice versa. And at first, it looks like he's being sucked back into it, but and he tells the architect to just go, and take it from here.
Go ahead. You're doing a good job.
Okay, well, so he tries to play the martyr, and I think she stabs him, the wife, but then I think he stabs her, and he watches her die, and I guess somehow not everybody else wakes up, but the architect ends up falling backwards. She wakes up, and they all wake up inside the van, if I remember correctly, and they save themselves from the van, but we don't know whether Cobb has saved himself until he comes to the reality that uh, that he's got to come to on his own, that he can't do anything to bring her back, and he's already lived his life with her. And so we see him wake up inside the airplane, and they're all giving them the thumbs up, and they're all like, they're like, and Saito ends up giving the call, and we see him ending up going and walking right by Fisher, and it's almost like he recognizes him for a moment, but not for long. But I guess in Fisher's mind, there was a pinwheel in the bottom of the safe that showed him that his father actually did in fact kind of like love him on his deathbed or whatnot, but on the top shelf was the deed or whatnot. I'm not even sure what the heck they were supposed to plant in his mind to begin with. What was it that they were supposed to, like a word?
I thought they were supposed to plant in his mind that he wanted to sell it.
Okay.
The business or something. I thought that's what it was.
Yeah. So I'm not even sure if that was even accomplished, but I think maybe it was in the end. But he was able to walk through customs and see his children. So I guess he ended up. It was a happy ending, sort of. So he was able to go back home and see his children. So they accomplished Inception, so to speak. It almost didn't happen that everybody survived, but they did. So did you want to add anything to that, Crow? Did you want to add anything to that, Crow? Okay. Did anyone else want to add anything?
Kroll, you are muted. Or maybe he's not here.
Did you want to add anything to that, Boris?
At the end, I guess with that totem spinning top being left spinning, they kind of left it up to interpretation whether he was really reunited with his children or if he was still in a dream. But yeah, I think at that point it kind of should be real.
Okay. What did we think about the production angle of things? Since I'm not sure where Kroll is, I'll continue into that.
Yeah.
What did y'all think about production, Tammy? Did you have thoughts on production?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's definitely works with your imagination and your mind and visually and everything. It's just, it's it's definitely it keeps you wondering, keeps you going. It's definitely a very visual movie too. Besides your mind, so I thought it was really good.
Okay. What did you, Boris, think about the production of everything?
I think the production was amazing. Like I said, especially all those effects in the dream world, like when things get paradoxical and impossible, yet it all somehow happens on screen. Like especially that one moment when apparently whole buildings were getting rolled up like a carpet. That was really well done.
Where it seemed like the buildings were turned upside down and then placed down on top of each other.
Something like that, yeah. It was that scene when the girl was learning how to build dreams.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Cole, are you here at all?
Yeah, I've been here, but I was out in the kitchen and it was super loud. My roommates had over, and so I couldn't talk. And
Okay.
you should have asked other people what their opinions were instead of keeping asking me, like Philip finally brought up. So thank you, Philip. And you never even asked Tammy her thoughts on it.
I did.
You are thanking me for what exactly? I'm sorry.
I asked Tammy first.
You asked me a bunch of times, and you asked Philip.
Well, no, I asked Tammy first, and then went to Boris. So.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the production. I'm talking about any last things you want to say. You skipped Tammy.
Okay, guys, let's not argue. I gotta leave soon.
Yes. So Tammy, any thoughts on that?
No, I didn't have any more thoughts at the moment.
On the final? Okay. Well, yeah. As what Philip was saying about the top spinning at the end, I didn't see that. I completely missed that. So I do not have any interpretation.
Interesting.
That wasn't a dream at all. I just assumed that it was reality, and he had been reunited with his kids, and yeah. So I completely missed the top part. So
yeah, when
I remember the top spinning, but
Yep.
I wasn't. I don't know. I was kind of unsure of what it really meant. So
I must admit it's interesting that you, Crow, didn't notice, since you are the best one at noticing details among us all.
sometimes, and other times I just miss some, and sometimes maybe it was on purpose. Maybe subconsciously I just wanted it to be a good ending, and so I just subconsciously just skipped over that part, which makes sense.
Before he
Sometimes
went down
I do that.
to greet his children, he set the top down and spun it, and it kept spinning. And I was the first time I didn't notice it. The second time I did. So I am wondering myself if it was a possible dream, or maybe he was back in limbo. I don't know. But I guess it's a choose what you think would have happened kind of moment. Yeah, what you will, interpretive, so to speak. But in any case, what did you, Crow, think about the production?
Well, yeah, I thought the production was amazing. I don't think they could do better today, and this was 14 years ago. So technology obviously gets better day by day. But yeah, movie was so well done, and yeah, it gets confusing. But again, it has to be confusing. I don't know how they could make this movie good and not be confusing. It's definitely one of those movies you just need to watch more than once to really grasp it. Yeah, you can grasp it to a degree once, but of course it helps being in this kind of setting, broadcast mindset thing, mastermind type thing, where we can bounce the ideas of the stories and our interpretations of them, and we can tell each other when we're wrong, or when we may be mistaken in something. And even sometimes some of us don't want to let go of being wrong, but
Well, maybe I have to just go back and see what they say, because
well,
because
again,
of
me and
that,
Tammy at least remember
the
it.
wife thing. I truthfully at first thought that the train was the wife attacking DiCaprio for spending time with that architect.
I believe that I believe you believe that, but again, you were told wrong, and you were told why you were wrong, and you didn't want to let it go, but anyways, it happens. We all get wrong at times, and like I said, I completely missed the topper. You know, I'm not saying I'm sure it happened. I'm sure you guys aren't telling me a tale. You know, it really happened, but I didn't see it.
It was also mentioned short video that Dave sent us in the Facebook chat. The this video saying everything wrong with the movie Inception.
Yeah, I don't like those videos. Everything wrong with people that say everything's wrong with a particular movie.
uh, yeah, but I'm just saying it mentioned that detail too, but I actually noticed it anyway.
Yeah, well, I would tell them that they need to watch the movie again, just like I told Dave. So yeah.
But in any case, I guess let's move on to music. Let me go back to the IMDb page to
The
bring that up.
only
The
music I
music.
remember in the movie is the music they were using to wake up or when they were supposed to wake up, or when they
Uh,
decided that we just need to really hurry up.
oh, the Edith Piaf song.
Well, let's see. They have do they have the soundtrack? Okay. They have two songs here listed as far as songs. Non Je Regret Rien, which is music by Charles Dumont and performed by Edith Piaf, and Abun Selhun, performed by Amira Sakati. I guess those are possible. It seemed like there was a lot of classical music played.
I thought there was only one song throughout the whole movie, so that's how much I paid.
And
Kind
then,
of.
of course, the music, the composing music was done by Hans Zimmer, which he did stuff from The Gladiator and stuff
The
the recent
The
Dune
Lion
and
King, The Ring.
yeah, he's done a lot. So
Yeah, he is very good.
trying to see if he was actually part of the Batman trilogy as well, because it's Nolan. Did Terminator Genesis. He was the composer, theme music for Interstellar, Divergent, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. Yes. He did some of the synth programming for The Dark Knight Rises.
Ooh.
So, and he was an executive music producer on Iron Man. He was a musician, synthesizer, score producer, and synthesizer programmer, uncredited on The Dark Knight. And he was a score producer on Batman Begins, so he has history with Nolan. But in any case, Crow, bring us into the favorite scenes and their favorite characters.
Okay. Dave, favorite characters and favorite scenes.
I think my favorite character would have to be the architect, even though I know DiCaprio showed a lot of his acting chops. She fascinated me a little bit because she was just learning the whole thing, and she understood the fact that his wife was actually trying to, come forward and be a more prominent thing in his mind, and knew the danger of it. And she said that if anything, let me help you with the process, and try to help keep it at bay with you. DiCaprio is definitely a close second. because he knew a lot. And I definitely liked Gordon Levitt's character, because he explained a lot too. You know, he explained about the totems, and I thought that was pretty cool how he was able to explain it. Favorite scene, I think it's when he's actually training her and she's changing the world. And he's telling her, no, don't do that, you know. So that's pretty much my enjoyment out of it, and the fact that you can, even play with dreams, even remotely like this, it's definitely different. So, I'm done.
Cammy?
I guess Leonardo's character is my favorite character for favorite
I'm sorry,
scene.
who?
Leonardo's character.
Oh, Cobbs.
Yep. Favorite scene. I guess I kind of go with almost the same one as David, that when he's first training her and that whole with everything exploding and then the city folding in on itself and then them walking right up on the wall, like that was so, all that was just so neat.
Is that it?
Yep.
Oh.
Boris?
Well, the architect was indeed a good character, and Cobb was also good. Now, an unpopular opinion maybe, but I also somewhat liked the wife. Because she was a rather mysterious character throughout a major part of the movie, and I also liked the actress that played her. She was very beautiful. But yeah, I also liked the horror aspect of her, and uh, uh, until some point in the movie, I kind of hoped there would be some twist and maybe she would be brought back to life, but oh well, that didn't happen. uh, so yeah, and my favorite scene now. This may be a bit of a shallow choice, but I have to go with the Spudao scenes when things were exploding and stuff like that. As you know, I often enjoy such scenes in movies. Maybe I would have had a different favorite scene if I had understood the movie better than I did.
Okay. What about you, Crow?
Did you go?
I believe I went.
Okay. Oh yeah, you did. Okay, yeah. You said the opposite of what I said. What I was thinking. Cobb's my favorite. With the architect a very close second. I think they complement each other very well. He's the teacher and she learns very quickly, but she also learns of his faults and stuff, and she tries to help center him to come back from his own faults, and she very quickly realizes what's going on and how why he stopped being an architect and the problems that he's facing, and she strives to help him as quickly as she's able to. She's a very young and caring character, and she's very likable, and yeah, she's a very very pretty girl, kind of like the girl next door type in a way. And someone that you can see yourself being a really good friend with, and as well. So yeah, she's a very very likable character. Like I said, Cobbs is my favorite, but she's a very good close second. But I feel like the movie without either one of them, obviously would not be the same. Like they just completely complement each other. The actor and actresses, well, obviously I know him, Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know her name, but I think they had awesome chemistry. She had great chemistry with everybody in the film, and yeah, it just absolutely great. Not to take out any of the other characters in the movie because they were all great. Everyone did their part. Everyone, Levitt's character was really good. The other guy, the Opie, whatever you want to call him, I can't think of his name. I've seen him in other movies too.
His name is Dilip Rao.
And then of course, I can't think of his
He
name.
was
The one who
he
played the
was
dad,
in Avatar.
Michael.
Dilip dude.
Michael. What's his name?
Oh, what are you talking about? Tom Hardy or Cillian Murphy?
No,
Barrett?
the old guy that's been in every fucking movie around. And
Oh, Michael Caine.
thank you. I said Michael. You didn't- I remember the Michael. I just couldn't remember Kane. Okay, Michael Caine. Yeah. Who
Michael
played
Caine.
everybody
Was
from
in there all of
Alfred,
like 5
Alfred to
Yeah.
playing the Dirty Rotten Scoundrels to all kinds of other great movies. Reminds me of one of the movies that I want to discuss. Where he ends up the girl, his basically his best friend's daughter, who he's grown up with, ends up having a big crush on him, and she's of course very hot, and they end up getting into bed and stuff, and like your father's gonna kill me and all this, and the whole it's kind of it's a comedy, but it's a funny. I think it's a good movie. Definitely as one of those subjects. It's like obviously he grew up with her and he didn't think of her in any way, but like his friend's daughter, but when she grew up and became of age and stuff, she she ended up liking him, and then he realized, well, maybe he had those kind of feelings, and some people can look at it as a bad thing. I don't look at it that way, but I'm not as cynical as some people. So I think it's a good movie. I can't think of the name of it, but that to me is one of his best movies. That and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is another really good one too. But anyways, as far as favorite scenes go, I don't know. Obviously, I like the Spadow's, as Philip likes them. But I really, if I wanted to watch a movie with just Spadow's, then I could pick up one of a million movies. I picked this because of the Thinker. So to me, some of the scenes where it's just so much is going on, like with the way he convinces the guy that his own defenses are against him, and that he in fact is really with him, but he's not, and the way he manipulates him and everything is fascinating. I mean, we were just discussing all this in my critical thinking class in college about difference between manipulation and persuasion, and there's a fine line between the two, and persuasion persuades people to do something that's in their best interest, whereas manipulation gets them to do something that's not exactly in their best interest, that may only benefit you. And there can be a fine line between the two, and both can get used in marketing in other places. I myself won't you I mean, can I manipulate someone? Yeah, I definitely could. I mean, have I manipulated? Yes, I've manipulated Philip here a few times, and I've admitted it, because there was movies that I wanted to watch, but I only have so many turns, like everybody else. So because he doesn't know what he wants to watch sometimes and has trouble deciding, I go in and help him with that. And is it manipulation? Yes, but I don't think it's hurting him at all. I think it's in good fun, and also they are really good choices, and so I don't think it's 100% manipulation. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too mad about it. Although for next week, I actually do know what I'm going to choose.
You do know or don't know? Well,
Uh,
I remember a while back I mentioned you choosing your own movie that you were in, because I've never seen it and it would give me a reason to see the movie. So I remember we had discussed that like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So if maybe that's something you might want to think about. Again, I'm not trying to manipulate you this time. Just mentioning it. Just mentioning it.
Guys, I gotta go.
All right.
Oh,
Bye, Tammy.
All right,
Fun at work.
okay, Tammy, see you. Well, damn it, Crow! You actually put a bug in my ear.
Well, I learned from the best.
Wait, from whom?
I don't know. Somebody. Like Leonardo DiCaprio says in the movie, it's a thought. You could put a thought into someone's head, and once they have that there, they could try their damnedest to think of something else, but they can't. They can't get rid of it. It's the most addictive thing there is.
You could try Inception on Boris. Maybe that might work.
Well, I think I just did. Only he wasn't sleeping.
Yeah, this was closer to the elephant thing.
It is not. See, the thing is some people you can give them an idea and they'll take it. Other people you have to make them think the idea is theirs. I'm definitely one of those people. Like, you can give me an idea and I may like it, but if you make it seem like it's my idea, I'll definitely like it. I'm not as stubborn. I'm stubborn, but I kind of go back and forth. Sometimes it's one way, sometimes it's the other. I know people, like, they will never do anything. They think so highly of themselves that they're the only ones that can come up with things. You gotta make them think that they came up with it. And it's not that hard to do. It's just planting a seed into their mind and watering that seed until they like, oh, hey, look at this great idea that I came up with. Of course, in your head, you're going, yeah, I planted that there. Ha ha ha. And and like I was just telling Philip is if you're going to manipulate someone, you don't actually tell them you're manipulating them, because then it don't work, right? So obviously I'm not manipulating.
Yeah.
Of course, I told them I've done it in the past, but that was already after I've already done it. And will I do it again? Who knows? Probably.
Interesting.
But I've manipulated Dave too. Not as much. He's a lot more stubborn and harder to manipulate. But
honestly, some of the arguments that I have with Kroll, I know you get so and I know I get so but sometimes I think it helps to have someone who has a different opinion of you on the show, so that you can have those variants.
Oh, and I agree. I mean, it's definitely
there are many things that you and I agree on, but there are some things that we'll disagree till we're mule in the face.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever watch the Howard Stern show, him and Robin, had great chemistry, but lots of times they disagreed on things, and it was great. It's not that you want to have people constantly disagree. It's great to have polarizing views, because not everyone's going to agree with one side, and if you have two people at different sides, then then more people are represented at the time, because some people are going to agree with you and some people are going to agree with me, and and then of course there will be some people that don't agree with either, but that's okay. You can't represent everybody, but at least when you have people that are polarizing, you're representing more people than you would if you only have people that just constantly agree. And I think life would be completely boring if everyone agreed with each other all the time.
Yeah, we would be like the Teletubbies.
I do
never watched it.
Or the Care Bears. Care Bears, stare. No, just kidding.
Sharing is caring.
Just remember, kids, I love you. Anyways.
I love you, you love me.
I chased Barney up a tree with a 9mm, shot him in the head. Now I know that Barney's dead. No, just kidding.
I hate you, you hate me. Barney died of HIV. What the hell gonna get
Holy shit.
You hate me too.
There were many different parodies.
Really bad spoiler alert. I played Barney for my daughter's 3rd birthday, and she ran away scared, even though Barney was her favorite thing in the world.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Me too. And then I had to sing and dance for the neighborhood kids because they all saw me and ran up to me like, Bernie. Well, man, I didn't have to, but I had to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to disappoint the little kids. Of course, it was the end of June. I was sweating my balls off, and dying and just wanted to get away. But, I didn't want to disappoint the kids. So I did a little happy Barney song and dance. And I hated Barney, just to point it out there. I did it for my daughter. And then, of course, for the other neighborhood kids. And, of course, my daughter was scared. I brought this up to her when I found her again, and she's like, "It's like, to be fair, you were like a giant purple dinosaur coming at me when I'm a little girl, It's like I'd be afraid now." And she was 25 when we had the discussion. So, yeah.
And
do you maybe have any?
What was that?
Unfortunately, each generation has different cartoons that they grew up with, or different children's shows that they grew up with.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. They should all grown up on what I grew up on, so they can be good kids. No, I'm just kidding.
I would love to do that, especially find all the original Sesame Street episodes and stuff like that.
I actually
that would be
I did love
interesting.
Sesame Street as a kid.
All the different Muppet Show specials that weren't connected with the television show.
The Muppet television show was great. The movies were great.
A fun fact, I heard many people say that when they were kids, they saw this one Sesame Street sketch of Bert and Ernie in an Egyptian pyramid, and apparently...
Oh, you're talking about it's called Don't Eat the Pictures. They need to come out with that on a...
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's very fuzzy on YouTube, and I wish that they would remaster it and at least come out with it on physical. But
actually, I don't think.
And I believe Snuffleupagus, Big Bird, Oscar the Grouch.
He's my favorite.
Elmo.
Oscar the Grouch is my grandfather. Not really, but I feel like he was modeled after my grandfather.
What did your grandfather like to spend his time in a trash can?
No, but he was always a grumpy and grouchy like that.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
Some of the Sesame Street real people end up going to like the Chicago Museum of National History, and then Cookie Monster ends up trying to eat all the pictures that look like food.
Cookie.
Yeah.
Like cookies. Cookie. C is for cookie. Good enough for me.
And there ends up being an Egyptian kid that's a ghost. And every night at midnight, he's got to come up with the answer to a question, and he never seems to get it. And Big Bird helps him figure out the answer to the question, and he becomes a star.
I don't know about you guys, but my Oscar Grouch was awesome. But my favorite character was the Count. I love to count. But of course, I've always loved vampires, and
nobody really talks about Telly Monster.
He's modeled after Dracula, so the Count is definitely my favorite character. It's just
Tammy didn't like him, even though she likes Dracula and all that.
That is weird. That is weird. Definitely weird. So
a 1, a 2, a 3.
I love to go. 1, 2, 3. Today's magic number is 3.
And see, a lot of people don't make the connection that the Sesame Street characters were in fact done by the same Jim Henson stuff as the Muppets.
Duh.
You know,
and Yoda.
I know it's but there are a lot of does out there.
Yoda is another one from Jim Henson.
How the hell did we go from Inception to Sesame Street?
And then back to Star Wars. But you know what? Everything points to Star Wars.
Anyways. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you have enjoyed our discussion on Inception to Sesame Street.
And if you did, then why are you watching again? You know how goofy we are.
Let us know down in the comments whether you can count ABC and live a dream within a dream. So, anyways, have a good evening, everyone. Say goodnight.
Just remember, dreams can come true if you dare enough to do them. Walt Disney.
If you stare at that which there is no moon, you can find a dream.
That's no moon.
Yeah, you have really once shown us